Hello and welcome to Thick Talks, where today our topic will be the new Super Mario Bros. Series and how it went from a modern masterpiece to a derivative cash grab. In the beginning, aka the early 2000s, the Game Boy's successor was released. The DS was unveiled to audiences on November 21st, 2004, and was a success. Over its life, the DS sold over 150 million consoles, and many games in their respective series had their highest sales numbers on the DS. But after 12 years without a new 2D Mario game, Nintendo decided that they would make a new one. When the DS was formally unveiled, Nintendo hinted at a new Super Mario Bros., entitled New Super Mario Bros. And even though Nintendo had been producing some of their best Mario games for the previous 12 years, people were still yearning for a 2D Mario experience. All of the mainline Mario games created after Super Mario World 2, 6 Golden Coins, were 3D, and while they were all great games, people were ready to return to the classics. And this readiness showed in the sales numbers. Over its life, New Super Mario Bros. Sold over 30 million copies and was critically acclaimed. It was said that this game was a return to form to the classics, and even outshined them in certain areas. So why is it that nobody still praises this game, or even talks about it? Well, that has something to do with its successors, the first of which being New Super Mario Bros. Wii. The Wii was first released in 2006 and exploded with consumers. Similarly to the DS, every installment of a series on the Wii had incredible sales numbers, and New Super Mario Bros. Wii was no different. It sold over 30 million copies and was critically acclaimed at release, similarly to its DS counterpart. This game also introduced 4-player co-op. While yes, there was multiplayer in old 2D Mario games, it was not co-op. Multiplayer co-op means you can play with other people at the same time, while in older Mario games, multiplayer meant you playing until you died, and then the other person getting their chance with a separate set of lives. You had no chance to play alongside them, and as such, multiplayer's true potential in 2D Mario was never fully recognized. That is, until New Super Mario Bros. Wii was released. Once it was shown to the world, multiplayer co-op became a permanent addition to 2D Mario games. So you might be thinking that that's where it ended, and the New Super Mario Bros. Series ended up as a well-respected and critically acclaimed series. But if you know anything about this series, you know that this is just the beginning. New Super Mario Bros. 2 was released in mid-2012, and the reviews were a bit of a mixed bag. Critics praised this game because it was an excellent game, and it was perfect for children, but for anyone who wasn't a critic or a child, there were some glaring problems. At this point, the New Super Mario Bros. Games started to blend together. They started to feel too similar. Many people also thought that the games were too easy. The original New Super Mario Bros. For the DS offered a decent challenge, and while New Super Mario Bros. Wii was very easy, it still had its difficult moments. Most critics and audiences agree that New Super Mario Bros. 2 was too easy. The reason it was so approachable to kids was because of its simplicity. So while it being approachable for kids was good, it actually turned out to be a downside in the long run. The main gimmick of New Super Mario Bros. 2 is coins. Your goal is to collect 1 million. And that's it. The whole gimmick of New Super Mario Bros. 2 is something that was in the game since the very beginning. The original New Super Mario Bros. Was the first 2D Mario in years, and the Wii version introduced 4-player co-op. Both of these games had something substantial that justified their existence, but there weren't enough new or interesting things happening in New Super Mario Bros. 2 to justify it, and thus it slightly tarnished the reputation of the original 2 games. But people still appreciated the first 2 games of the series, and while New Super Mario Bros. 2 was obviously inferior to the original New Super Mario games, it was still an option. But at this point, audiences grew wary. They were now tired of the New Super Mario Bros. Series and were ready to move on. But not Nintendo. They wanted to keep milking this series. And so, New Super Mario Bros. U was released in late 2012. 2 things are immediately obvious. First, it's getting tiring hearing me continue to say New Super Mario Bros. Over and over again. This is to show you how redundant this series truly is. But second, you will notice that this game was released not even 6 months after its predecessor. Not only did Nintendo create 2 games that felt almost identical and advertise them as separate entities, but they released them less than half a year apart. So let's talk about New Super Mario Bros. U. At release, critics appreciated this game for what it was. It was more creative than the previous New Super Mario Bros. Game, and was quite similar to its Wii counterpart. And since New Super Mario Bros. Wii was critically acclaimed, and the Wii U version was so similar, a game nearly identical to it would do just as well. But just because critics liked it doesn't mean that audiences did. They realized that Nintendo only produced new Super Mario games because they were a safe bet. In the past, 2D Mario games changed the gaming industry, but now they just felt like uninspired and unimportant filler games. So now you might think that this is the end. Nintendo obviously saw that audiences were tired with the new formula, so they decided to change it up and go with a refreshing and New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe was released in January of 2019. This game was, once again, highly reviewed by critics. Now you might find this confusing, since I've been saying that audiences didn't like the latter half of the New Super Mario Bros. Series. And that's because they didn't. The problem is that none of these games are strictly bad. They're just very similar and don't take a lot of risks, but because they're alike doesn't mean they're horrible. They're just not different enough for some people. But at this point, the games were so unoriginal and took so few risks that it became a joke for Nintendo fans. And with Super Mario Maker 2, 2D Mario is mostly obsolete. Talking about New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is redundant, because it's the same game as the previous 2D Mario, with just a slightly altered title. So I won't talk about it. But it's quite unfortunate, because 2D Mario games went from a huge gaming event to boring and unoriginal inevitabilities. So where can 2D Mario go now? Well, in the next game, they'll have to have new graphics, because all of the new Super Mario Bros. Games have graphics that are way too similar. They will also have to have a new title. The word new is basically demonstrating that this game isn't new, but you're trying to make it look new. If New Super Mario Bros. Was released in 2006, that means a game that is 13 years old is considered to be just as new as a game released 1 year ago. And finally, they will have to change up the story. If Bowser didn't kidnap Peach, that would be the first time that's happened in a 2D Mario game since 1992. 28 years with the same story is far too long, and I think that it's time for a change of pace. But all in all, the New Super Mario Bros. Series was important to gaming, and while in the end the series became an uninspired mess, these games still matter. And while the first two are obviously the best, the New Super Mario Bros. Franchise can still be fun, and will be remembered as a pleasant and enjoyable experience for all ages. But personally, I think that every one of the games besides New Super Mario Bros. Wii and DS are uninspired and boring. But hey, at least 3D Mario exists, so go play that instead.